All right, North-South Connection. We're here live on YouTube for the NoSo Post Show, WWE SmackDown, September 5th, 2025. I figured we had a big night in front of us, so I went to the regulars and said, guys, do you suspect SmackDown would be pretty good? Would it be worth a squeeze to kind of go out there and see what we got for a NoSo Post Show? And we're going to give it a shot. Pretty good SmackDown coming into tonight. Not a lot of quantity, but a lot of quality overall. Rossi, what's your overall thoughts on SmackDown tonight?
Yeah, I mean, you got John Cena for pretty much an hour. I think that the Priest Black stuff moved them along in a way that made sense. And, you know, I'm never going to say anything bad about Julia being on my TV. And then, you know, we had a killer return and an awesome main event segment. It was a 2-hour show that felt like it was about 45 minutes.
That's the best way to put it, Richard. Wouldn't you say? It felt like when John Cena ended, when Brock Lesnar came out at 8:45, I was like, God damn, 8:45? It doesn't even feel like it's been 45 minutes. And that's always a positive, in my opinion.
Yeah, the thing is, like, the past couple SmackDowns have kind of dragged, at least for me, just because it's like you didn't have all the major names, all the major thing, and the ending segment was technically a Raw segment, but you're in Chicago, and it's pro wrestling trope at this point that CM Punk, all his major stuff is going to happen in Chicago. So that's probably the best place to have this major return with AJ Lee. And yeah, it was very nice. I liked how the show flowed. And the thing is, it's like, of course, when you have all these major things, like things are going to get pushed to the sides. We didn't really have any tag team development. We didn't really have any forward momentum with the whole tease of Montez Ford and Angelo Dawkins, but we did get like Mellow Don't Miz, so that story is still kind of going. So I'm looking forward to see how everything plays out.
Yeah, I think usually we start with the hot stuff, but we started hot, so let's just kind of go in order here and end with the cherry on top at the end. So we had John Cena for the last time on SmackDown ever in Chicago in the middle of the ring in his Chicago Cub gear, with his Cena last time ever Chicago gear. I thought this was up there with the New York Jets, New York Giants gear from MetLife on SummerSlam weekend, of some of his best gear of this return. And he was there in all his glory saying, you know, I can't believe the Chicago arena is kind of giving me my flowers pretty much. This is an arena that's always been Boo Cena for the most part. Historical events like WrestleMania 22 has been here. Great matches with Triple H. Countless, the CM Punk of Money in the Bank, so on and so forth. And it's low-key a great historical arena for John Cena. But he has never been on the good side of cheers, despite the let's go Cena, Cena sucks, right? So it was been more Cena sucks, but him to get his flowers is pretty cool. And him to acknowledge it in a way to put over the crowd is just as cool. And he's like, I'm here for the last time. I'm calling it in the ring pretty much. I'm not sure what's going to happen. And let's just have fun. So he goes through his spiel, thanks the crowd, does his gimmick, and then Sami Zayn's music hits. Sami Zayn comes out and says, I want a part of this action. I want a part of this John Cena retirement tour. And John, you gave me a big break when I debuted on Monday Night Raw, when you were doing your United States Champions Open Challenge. Now I am your new United States Champion. So John, I like that idea, and I'm going to steal it. Richie, do you think that's going to be an every week type of thing, or is that just a cute way to kind of get to where we're going quickly?
It was a cute way to kind of like segue into our first match. And it also made sense considering that John Cena's first SmackDown was an open challenge, and now his last one was like kickstarting another open challenge.
That's so if another cool reason too. Yeah, good call.
Yeah. So that's like a good like loop around. And I had like an idea, like I said in my videos, where it's like I figure like John Cena would do like an open challenge himself, but having Sami Zayn, the US Championship, and that title became like the open challenge title for a period of time. Just seems like a good way to kind of wrap up John Cena's SmackDown portion of his retirement tour. You know, everything kind of like came full circle there. I also did like a part of commentary when Cena was setting up for the spear, and Cole said, "Oh, he had many like feuds with Roman Reigns," and then Corey's like, "Yeah, and another Canadian star that can't mention," which got to pop out of me because you can mention Cesaro, but you can't mention the other guy. So that kind of like got a chuckle out of me.
They have before, right? But whatever. Brandon Janu, best SmackDown in a minute, that's for sure, buddy. But Rossi, before we got to the match, did you think that this is the best way to get it? Because you kind of knew what was going to go down on SmackDown with the tea leaves of PW Insider, Fightful, kind of leaking the script in a way, kind of just saying, guys, this is what's going to happen. And we don't know how we're going to get there, but you can kind of put two and two together. And nights like this, like Brendan just said, the WWE goes extra, like double heavy handed, so to speak, when they know they have a show on the horizon. And it's been a minute, like Brandon said. You feel that they did a good job of laying the foundation built around Sami Zayn and John Cena heading into this match.
Yeah, I mean, I think when I first saw the card rundown at about 2:30 p.m. today, and it fell through in the exact order that everybody said it was going to, I was kind of surprised because you normally get stuff like that out on the internet about 7:30, but not as early as it was today. And then I was thinking about it, and as I'm watching the Chiefs and the Chargers in the background, they needed to hook the crowd tonight because the NFL was free on YouTube for everybody. So they needed to pretty much tell you what was going to happen tonight to make sure that you not only stayed tuned in once you turned it on, but you had it on right at 8. And I think that worked in their favor. I know that I would fully expect this to be a big-time SmackDown rating by their standards. Especially with the YouTube thing, because I think we might be in a world where people would be creative enough to say, you know what, I can throw YouTube on my phone. Let me throw Raw on, something like that, right? So I think it's going to work in their favor in how they did it, and it's not something I would suggest to do every week, but with the bookended big segments like they had, I think it was a perfect layout for the show.
Yep. All right, Richie, do you feel that, let's put it this way, the boos that Sami Zayn got, do you feel that it was more night before WrestleMania towards Cody, or kind of a rejection of a foreseen push that Sami Zayn is at the beginning of? Which way are you going to lean on that?
With that, like I would lean towards, this is Cena's final run. So It's like who's ever going against Cena at this point is going to be booed regardless. And putting Sami in that position is very similar to putting Cody in that position. Because when you're a clean-cut babyface that's going to stick around, it's tough because, we want to cheer you, but at the same time, this guy who's been the guy for 20-plus years is leaving. So you don't want to see him go, and then it's like whoever is going to be standing opposite of him is going to get that backlash, along with Sami Zayn's just story arc hasn't really been that captivating. I think the WWE's dropped the ball so far. I think it was a good corner when he did that promo with Solo saying this is not underdog Sami, this is main event, like WrestleMania main eventer Sami. And that's what you need to do with Sami Zayn, and have him have more confidence, have him have more dynamic stories where he's not fighting from underneath. And I feel like, especially when you're in Chicago, it's going to be a lot more smart fans that are going to be in that arena. So Sami is going to be a target for at least for everything involved with that. And with what a change of fate, with Cena getting universal positive reaction in Chicago to Sami getting booed. If this was just a couple years prior, it would have been the other way around.
Yeah, it was just, I don't want to say shocking, but it was a little disappointing on my end. Now, I don't put much depth into the boos. Kind of like you explained, right? I'm more on your side there, but I just didn't like it as a look for Sami. I feel like he's a big enough, likable star to not get that treatment, despite John Cena being on the back, on the green of the 19th hole of his run, right?
All he had to do was saying, "I want a championship match tonight," and the crowd cheered him. So it's again, it's
Cena kind of put, water on the flames of those boos. It's like, all right, calm down, guys. Rutgers crowd out here. He kind of put some flames on those fire, right?
It was more of them pretty much having fun with the situation, I think. I don't think, I've done some videos on Sami, and there are people who call him Sammy Hogan, and I'm just like, man, you don't know what the Hogan term means now, do you? Because that's not a definition of a Hogan just winning all the time or anything like that. But with Sami Zayn, he does need kind of a different trajectory. He has had that story of he wants to be a world champion on his terms. But again, it needs to be gripping. His NXT run where he was trying to get the NXT title, that was gripping for a lot of different reasons because he wasn't clean cut, but you could also see like he was human and he was frustrated, and that's what we need to see, more diverse emotions from Sammy, because he seems like a little bit too like perfect. Because even like people like to say it's like, oh, Cody Rhodes is vanilla, but we've seen like Cody like not be the clear cut good guy in situations that kind of vary him up a little. With Sammy, we haven't really seen that since probably the Bloodline story. So it's kind of like a wait and see to what Sami Zayn's going to do next.
I did notice, guys, here that I'm like Tony Schiavoneing you. My seat's much higher, so I look taller. That's kind of a first for me as a 5'8" man. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of digging this new zoom in look we got going on here. But you know, for the last thing on the booze, kind of quick here. I'm just a little worried about that he is foreseen to be overpushed, and that will be a backlash. And I'm a little worried that it's not quite as organically pushed as it perceived to be, Mike. And perhaps that organic nature you would hope for isn't there. That may cause a bit of a backlash if they go deep in the weeds with this initially. I'm a big Sami Zayn fan. I think it's time, but I don't like it off the legs of Jey Uso, if that makes sense, because then it feels like, all right, we're just going to give him these mini pushes at WrestleMania, and you know what I mean?
Which he's had twice
yeah.
already. But yeah, no, it's, I get what you're saying. And I had that same fear, man, when the boos were pretty loud, right? It was more than just, and especially the way that the segment was originally laid out, because Cena was like ready to leave. So it's not like Sammy coming out like interrupted him, right? But I think right, but I also think the layout from there with Sammy giving them the match was definitely good. And the important aspect of this that we haven't mentioned yet is Brock laid out Sammy too. But Brock's advertised for SmackDown next week. John Cena's not. So I kind of feel like we might have, I don't expect them to really get physical. But I would expect maybe Sammy to chirp at Brock at some point on SmackDown next week. And if that happens, he's not going to get booed.
Yeah, this is crazy. Shark kind of makes a good point here. Win more than 3 matches, IWC Hogan, a la Becky, a la whoever, right?
Yeah, that's kind of like the problem, because it's just like you could like go like on a winning streak and it's like, oh, we're trying to build some stars, and then it's like you build stars like too much, and if it becomes too obvious, it's like, oh, they're a Hogan,
Yeah, it doesn't know what the fuck they want.
Yeah,
week to week, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Who wants to play a little trivia?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. Just spit it out.
Mhm.
John Cena has held the United States Championship X amount of times.
5?
3.
Ross? 5. I
5.
would have not guessed 5. I know he lost at Del Rio, won it back, and then he won it in Rusev, so there's 2. He beat the Big Show, so there's 2 other in 2003 or 4.
Yeah,
Maybe
he beat Booker.
Back and forth with Booker, and then what? He
beat Carlito.
Okay. So yeah, I wouldn't have guessed 5. It wouldn't have think. Yeah, Crazy Sharp ripped it off right away too, right? So
was he the U.S. champ coming out of the Rusev match?
Yeah, he won it at 31.
Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah, okay.
And then pretty much 2015 was all John Cena.
Yeah.
And then he lost it to Rollins at SummerSlam, won it back,
Rollins, yeah.
and then he lost it to Del Rio, and Del Rio returned, and Del Rio was Zeb Coulter. Remember that?
I remember that. It was like the last show of the year, right?
It was like Hell in a Cell. Yeah.
Or TLC, one of them, I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was. It did give birth to that meme with Coulter on the scooter just scooting away. That like the GIF.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. But he was just like, Coulter 6 months before that. You skipped across the border to Mexico, and then he's like,
remember his signs?
Hero, my Mexican hero's back. It was.
Remember his signs that was just like deport Mexicans. He was so floored with everything.
Vince was in his bag when he put those two together. Vince was.
They made him like challenge like Glenn Beck, I think, at one point.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, craziness. All right, craziness. We don't need to go down a Vince rabbit hole, but it's so stupid.
Dude, they were so over. Like, I went to New Orleans for Mania 30, and the We the People stuff was so over.
Yeah, That Cesaro, well, Cesaro, right? But yeah, no doubt. All right. So we saw a good match, obviously. I think that Super Cena is here, and we went along this whole diatribe of how Super Cena became a thing, and again in 2025, and how it wouldn't have worked in January, and he had to go through the trials and tribulations of finding himself in the heel run, love it or hate it, indifferent or not. But that's why we are here, and where it's like we went through it all, and now we're here. And John Cena's in his final legs. He had some good matches. Super Cena's back, and the formula is what it is. Rossi, I know you're a big fan of the trope of now of him doing the Styles Clash, the Edge Spear, the Christopher Daniels broken wings or whatever from the night before, other ones, so on and so forth, right? So he's in his bag of doing his gimmicks, and it's like, I'm not getting to you guys, but I'm going to pay a little tribute to it. He did a zigzag, or he had Logan Paul doing a zigzag, and it's just like, I like that part of Cena. I think it adds some suspense to what he's doing now. So I don't know. I'm just kind of into it. Like it just works. He's on 9 appearances left, and are we going to get a match each time? Perhaps. Maybe we get one in Boston. Maybe we get one in New York. I don't know. New York. I'm just bitter.
I do.
Yeah, we should do it now.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
All right, it's bullshit. Like, it's so fucking bullshit. First of all, it was bullshit that it was a Saturday Night's main event. And then it was bullshit and then it was unbullshit because it wasn't going to be on NBC and it was going to be on Peacock so we could have no commercials, and it was what it was. But from the rip, it's going to be ruthless, aggressive John Cena. It's going to be this. It's going to be that. It makes too much fucking sense to do it in Boston, the city of angels, not the city of losers, Pete Rose. And it just was perfect. Fuck his dad on Channel 5 saying it's going down in Boston, getting everyone's hopes up. And then SmackDown's in Boston 2 weeks ago, and we get no fucking announcement of it. So I was like, all right, why do we get no announcement? Why do we get no announcement? Like, are they finalizing deals or whatever? But these fucking assholes and their site fees, and then Jacobs. Rossi, is it Jacobs who owns the arena, or is it the city of Boston that won't pay the site fee?
So there's their booking is a group that's called Meet Boston. So it's not directly I don't think it's directly the Garden, but because it became, when it comes to something like that, when they need a site fee, that's more than just the arena, right? Because they're right. Well, they're trying to sell them on a Taker show, probably Thursday night, SmackDown, Saturday night's main event, probably something else on Sunday, maybe like a AAA show or something, NXT, right? So that's where it was. Is I think they got the money they needed from Washington.
They don't need this shit. They don't.
For this weekend that they were trying to plan, they didn't need it.
Cena. It's about John Cena. It's about his home fucking town. It's not about your greed. You got 2 nights of WrestleMania. You got 2 nights of SummerSlam. You got San Diego doing bullshit. You got enough fucking shit going on where you got to do the right fucking thing and give it to John Cena in his hometown. That's all you got to do. But you had to go for a little extra buck. What's the site fee? What's it? $100,000?
They wanted $7 million for this one.
Yeah.
7 million?
Another thing to keep in mind, I think that's why they held off on announcing Cena's final 2 dates. I do think that they were probably going in between. All right, are we gonna? Where is it gonna happen? Is it gonna be either in DC, Boston, or MSG? That's probably what they were kind of thinking. At least what I think.
What the fuck does DC have to do with this? Like, what does DC do with
Cena's a part of the DC universe now.
Fuck off.
I was thinking when they first said no Boston, I was immediately thought LA, because then maybe they could do something with The Rock or something. I don't know.
Yeah, he trained in LA. It's like his second home. Sure. And then I thought low-key Tampa, right? Because
my biggest takeaway though, guys, was we talk about give it to Cena. I don't think Cena gives a shit.
I mean, he does the whole he was the Marine gimmick for a while, so I guess
I think as long as he got the one last show in Boston, he didn't really care if it was the last one. Because he's even done interviews in the past that last year he said that if he could pick where his last match would be, he said the O2 in London. So I don't think, like, obviously, you know, I booked my hotel for this show February 19th. Like, that's how far out I was expecting the show. And I very sadly canceled it this morning. But at the end of the day, I just don't think that Cena pushed for it enough and gave a shit. I almost feel like for them to randomly do a Raw in Springfield where he went to college, that might have meant more to him because he hasn't been there. Right, because he's never been there, so that might be why he really wanted to, you know, he probably said to them, give me that, and I don't really give a shit where my last match is.
I disagree in a way. Like, now that you say $7 million, but can't there be like, meet me in the middle, meet me a little bit, here's $2 million?
Well, we're in a different era now, you know, with WWE.
I get that, but it's not about that. It's about
I know the thing is, it's like the sentimental is only going to get us so far, at least with this era. They're going to look at profits first, and if it aligns with them, it does. The only reason why Goldberg was in Atlanta is because they were able to have that block of not only
feels
putting
like
the
it was in Atlanta, and then they made Goldberg. Like the plan came out of that.
Yeah, plus, I feel like Goldberg, like the crowd gave a shit about Goldberg in Atlanta. They might not have anywhere else, you know, like at least to that level.
Yeah.
The location just makes the moment. It's his hometown. I would, if my final match, if I were to go have an illustrious career in my 40s, now that I enter my 40s next month, if I was to somewhat pick up wrestling, I'd want my career to end in the White Eagle, Mike Rossi. It just would, you know.
No, you would, you know. That's where you grew up, you know.
So I feel, I don't know. It should mean something to Cena. It should. It's where you grew up. It was this fucking gimmick forever that I'm this hard kid from Boston. It was his gimmick. You can't tell me he don't care. You know?
Yeah, I'm thinking like that's the only time that it would really make sense to me. You know?
I mean, the thing is with Cena, like, and Corbin was on, I think, Busted Open, like he was speaking about it, like that Cena taught him to like detach himself from like the creative of wrestling. You know, like what they're doing is like character based, where it's like if they book you a certain way, it's not to you personally. It's how they want to book your character, so to speak. And I feel like
run should be personal, especially when they're on the back nine.
It should be, but like John Cena is like far past the point of like not being personally involved. And I think we saw, at least with the heel run, what happens when he's left to his own devices if he's not given a solid direction on what to do. And they're like, all right, go out there and try to make something out of it.
Like he's the ultimate. I think this is for another day, but I think he's the ultimate like reliance on charisma ever. I don't think his wrestling IQ is extremely high.
Like you could literally at one point tonight, him and Sammy were like on opposite sides of the ring, and he was like loudly yelling what to do. Like that's just loud Cena. Like I'm sure that they're gonna really chip that apart on the internet.
My favorite is Bret Hart. Like, you know how Bret is sometimes, and he said he's like, oh, I love watching Cena, and it's like he'll call out other wrestlers for calling out spots loudly. But like Cena will do it, and it's like I hear nothing from Bret. It's like Bret is like one of my favorite like people just to kind of watch around.
Yeah, he picks and chooses, but I wish Cena picked and choose Boston. I'm not accepting any, like, I understand, Richie. I understand the metrics. I understand it's about the dollar. I understand that.
Yeah, I mean, we both of us were talking about it.
Years, do the right thing. It's the end of
and the thing too is they got tonight in Chicago. They got a $2.4 million gate projected. That's what All Out did, or All In did in Texas, was 2.5 million. So they're able to just randomly do that on a 2-hour SmackDown that nobody gave a shit about until a week and a half ago, right? If that, maybe even Monday when Punk said that. I didn't even know they were in Chicago until Punk said that. But on top of that, like if they were getting $2.5 million for this, imagine what they could have gotten in Boston with 16,000 in there. Selling tickets probably at double the price that they did tonight. You know,
and I'm good with it. Everyone would be good with it.
I believe for the arena, it's the Capital One in DC, right?
Yeah,
because I believe it's 20,000, not counting floor seats. Like it holds 20,000.
Is it hockey?
I guess I don't know. I think
Yeah,
so.
maybe it's just like they. I don't know that they like the size is going to make a big difference on it as much as it was like, hey, like look at what they did all those shows in Tampa. That was a rinky dink place, but Tampa paid it. You know, it's just it's such a like someone I forgot who I read it from today, but someone said we just have to accept that this is not a wrestling company, you know, and they don't care about those wrestling moments. They just care about their stock.
Like if it's convenient for them to do, they'll do it. You know what I mean?
They got to give us enough, right? They got to give us enough to keep the weirdos back.
Tonight, like tonight, for example, you know, where it's just like, So it's just one of those things where it's like it could be intimate, but at the same time, it's just like one of those things that you know, is what it is. It's WWE TKO now.
I'm not.
I know.
No, it sucks. It sucks.
It's a bummer. But Ryan, you and I were talking about this. We were thinking like either Boston or MSG because like we were trying to figure out the last two shows that were going on, and you and I we fixed on Boston, but it's like then where do we put like MSG? Like DC just kind of like came out of nowhere.
That's Batista's hometown. Like, what are we doing? All right. By the way, guys, I've been getting electrocuted all show. I was just like, why is this warm? Like, why am I getting like zapped? And why is my mic warm?
I just like felt a shock looking at that.
That's crazy. That's crazy right there. That's crazy talk. All right. Excellent match, but we got a no comment. Fuck. Hey, all right. I got to change mics. Holy fuck. What the fuck? This is legit a hot mic, but this might be unsafe. I smell the burning wire. Anyways,
are you sure that's not coming from you and your heated discussion on where John Cena's last match?
They got you so pissed off that you are letting a microphone on fire.
All right, hold on. We gotta switch mics here. Luckily, I have another one right here.
Yeah, but
right, we get. Richie, tell us about the end of this match. But I'm back here.
So end of the match, you know, double down, super AA, and then we hear Brock Lesnar's music, and I think we knew this is probably the direction, you know, when they announced Sammy and Cena, that we weren't going to get a clean finish, you know, two baby faces. Brock hitting the F5 on Sammy. I try to notice to see if there are any cheers for that, just in case to see, like, if the Sami Zayn, like, booing had any credence to it, but people don't like Brock that much, so he got majority of it, and then they really booed when he hit the F5 on Cena, hits the F5 again. And then that's pretty much the end of the segment before we get Brock Lesnar's first words on WWE television saying Cena, see you at WrestlePalooza. We still have no idea why Brock is back, why he's aiming for Cena. Yeah. It's like we don't know why Brock's back. We don't know why he's going for Cena. I assume since he is scheduled for the next couple of SmackDowns, we're going to find out the reason why. And hopefully it's a reason that makes sense, but I'm not keeping my hopes all that high for an actual like logistical reason on why he's choosing John Cena other than to beat him up again. So yeah, we'll see.
Do you think that they use I'm sorry, Ryan, do you think that they use Cena like as a surprise on one of those SmackDowns just to kind of I don't know. I mean, obviously the night before would make more sense, but I think it's just weird that he's going to be on two SmackDowns that we know Cena's not supposed to be on, you know?
So isn't his dates all announced besides?
Could be, but that could be like the curveball. And I mean, especially like that night before. I don't know where they are that Friday before WrestlePalooza, but it's just like, I don't know what the hell Brock's going to do by himself for 2 weeks, you know?
I think it's like they're still, I think they're in Indianapolis still, right?
I'm not sure, but maybe you're Raw. Once they say this is his last SmackDown, I think that I would agree that it's probably his last SmackDown, and they're going to hold true to that.
Like maybe Brock shows up in Springfield, but
I think you
know what I think is going to happen, and I hope it doesn't. Like Brock's going to do a promo, then Truth's going to come out, and then Brock's going to just destroy Truth because Truth is going to be like the proxy for John Cena.
That's going to definitely happen. Now that you say that, yeah.
You know, like that's...
Maybe Sammy the first week and Truth the second or something like that.
Well, maybe we get Sammy continues that open challenge, right? And then Brock answers it and just fucking kills him.
I think just like Brock, just like Brock as U.S. champion would probably be a very bold choice.
Oh, I don't think he wins. I don't think he needs to win.
No, yeah,
He's
just
gonna
like
leave.
disrupts it, just like going on like that. But Brock's gonna have like a TV program between now and Palooza, so it's
Could be
like
Sammy, I think.
yeah, it could be Sammy.
They
I
had
think.
great chemistry in that October, November 2021. That was phenomenal.
Well, that was probably the high point of not only just the month but the year of 2021. Jeez, it was a dark time.
Yeah.
No, we had Baron Corbin and feeding Roman Reigns dog food.
No, that was 19.
That was 19.
That was 19. That wasn't in the Thunderdome.
No, that was
okay.
Yeah.
In real life, there was a crowd.
Oh yeah, Roman was a heel then. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I thought that was in the Thunderdome for some reason. We did have a lot of cool Oscar shit though. In 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
2021 was the rise of Madcap Moss. So we don't have enough time to go down that lane because, I would get pretty excited.
We could probably do 3 hours just on pandemic WWE. Yeah.
We could, and I just don't want
to. Somebody would fall asleep, but
yeah, but Palooza is in 2 weeks, and the card looks pretty robust. We'll get to that as we get to that, but this was the first 50 minutes of SmackDown, and it was pretty electric. You got a really good to great match. A little slow at times, commercial hurts it, but once they got into their shit and got into their bag and got to their chase home, it was extremely good to great. And yeah, it's just like this is what SmackDown needs. It was finally living up to the hype of what SmackDown is, because back to what Brandon said earlier, the best SmackDown in a minute. And Richie, like your opening sentence was, SmackDown has stunk for the better part of the year.
If you noticed, we didn't have really much a focus on groups, not real, no MFTs, no Wyatts, no abundant storylines where it's we see the same faces every week. I think the only thing this show was missing, if you say anything's missing, is probably the tag team division.
Yeah,
getting a good presence, but again, you're not going to fit everything on a 2-hour show. As long as the show,
a promo package,
and it really shows that it's the WWE roster, even though it's the shows have been kind of it's really top heavy if you really think about it, because a lot of these segments had very few people involved, Cena, Sammy, Brock, 3 people, Julia, Michin, Kiana, 3 people, Mello, Miz, Nick Aldis, 3 people, Tiffany Stratton. Then you had cut back 3 people. It felt more neat. There was less clutter where you could just kind of transition to story. Like Damian Priest, Aleister Black, they got significant time for them. So it's it shows they could tell great stories or good stories or stories that will keep your attention if you give them the necessary time, where they're not going at 5 minutes, 3 minutes. And it shows it's a positive, but you have so much talent that you have to try to fit everything in all at once.
Yeah. So, but I'm not mad at the shakeup of tonight, right? Just let those things breathe, and maybe people will start yearning for them when it's time to come around on them. But what I will say, last thing about Brock is the temperature in the room changes when he shows up. Business is getting down, unbelievable pop. And as soon as he's on your screen, I think the word is magnetic. Love him or hate him, he's electric. He is hands down electric. He has the most effect. All right, here's the thing. Yes or no? He has more effect, more crowd focus and effect and buzz in the arena, him or The Rock? The most electrifying man in sports entertainment is The Rock.
It's 2 ends of the coin too, Richie, go ahead.
It's just
it's different feels, right? It's different feels.
With
There's a
Brock,
realness to Rock.
With Brock, it's oh no. It's kind of the biggest comparison I can make is the Undertaker gong, where it's that you get that pit in your stomach, the guitar riff from Brock's theme. When that hits, something's going down.
You just start amping up, and you're done.
and then with the Undertaker gong, we saw it with Javon on Tuesday, where it's the arena, they get excited, but it's just again, the pit in the stomach where it's like something's going to happen. And like with The Rock, it's more like like it's just The Rock. I don't even know how else to describe it. It's just like
it's so because Brock's so sudden and The Rock's so drawn out, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
you would have 45 minutes of The Rock circle jerking in the fucking arena tonight.
He does like goosebump thing. He gets all that.
It was still outside when CM Punk says bullshit.
I just started laughing because I was just thinking about that Josh Briggs segment on Tuesday. Him getting off the motorcycle. Oh goddamn! I love the guy.
Yeah, but two different feelings.
Palooza's going to be rocking and rolling. I'm looking forward to it. We'll have plenty of time to jump into that.
Do you think they open with that match?
I'd have to see. Do we get Cody or do we get Randy versus?
You might open with the mixed tag. I feel like.
Yeah, like either that or the mixed tag, because since they're going not head to head, I think the tail end of the AEW show is probably gonna overlap the beginning of Russell.
Low key, Vicaire and EO.
That would open. That should open. That's a great opener. Right?
I feel like they'll. I feel like they'll put that second.
Herbert Sicko will probably be into that.
I just think that's because that's 3:00 for All Out. If All Out goes to 7:00 WrestlePalooza? Yeah, they will. But that All Out show looks like it's going to be fucking horseshit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he closes. Let's be real. I think it's his first match since SummerSlam in 2 years, right? So I think he closes.
Especially Cena on ESPN, like he's all over their commercials. I think that's got to close. And it doesn't feel like. I mean, we can talk about the Drew and Orton of it all, but do we with them doing that match next week? Do you think that Cody is back next week and sets up the match with Drew, or do they hold that off to Australia?
I think they get Cody back for Palooza. It's gonna be tight though, just because because I know Cody started filming before Roman, and they said Cody and Roman they do overlap, but Cody is gonna be finished before, and he was gonna be finished before WrestlePalooza. But it just depends on if he's actually gonna make a show with that. And I have to say, like it was one way to write Cody off, but it's like, man, all these wrestler write-offs are just very
they all happen at once.
Yeah, like Cody got even on different promotions too. Cody got written off, Roman got written off, Kenny got written off.
They're not very, and none of them are very.
Osprey
got
Swerve to a degree.
Swerve got written off. Everyone got written off, and
and we're talking the 5 most important people to their companies too.
Yeah, it's all the top guys on both companies get written off.
The WWE guys are kind of in the here and the now. Cody will be
right.
Yeah, Cody is Cody's write-off was just it's it made sense for him to write off. And Cody and Drew should be a fun feud just because their matches have been solid. But for Palooza, I think Cody makes it.
I do too. I just don't know. I think it's going to be a few match series, so it's safe to kind of have one right off the rip of the feud, right? So it makes sense to me. All right, your boys here, Al Black versus Dan Priest, and a fine match, but wasn't the best spot. I thought a lot of aspects are good with it. I thought they had good strikes, good mesh, just in a bad spot that led it to be a little bit uninteresting more than interesting. This match would have benefited from a dull SmackDown, if that makes any more sense. And 10 minutes is fine, but I don't think they're done. I thought that I was surprised by the finish a little bit. Ross, I'm going to throw it to you first. These are your boys. What do you think of this match?
I think honestly, when Priest got attacked, walking to the ring, and then was selling like he wasn't going to make the match, I was like, shit, did they cut this because Cena went long? But what I liked about it is I think that we firmly now, it's kind of teeter-tottered back and forth, but we firmly know that Black is a heel now, right? And I think that's important because he's somebody that needs to sink teeth into the character. When he was kind of wishy-washy between, in a kind of a floating spot there, it didn't really work for me. And I do like the guy. But in reality, I like Priest too. And there's definitely a lot of meat still on the bone here. It just feels like they're still not quite getting to it yet. And it's kind of already teetering on the line when it's kind of should or get off the pot. And this clearly wasn't the finish of the feud. But I am happy that Black finally got a quasi-important win because it hasn't really been a good run for him as far as like a win-loss perspective to date.
Or honestly, Richie, in my opinion, from an interest standpoint, I don't think it's been a good run either. Like, I don't think it's a bad run. He's not doing anything bad. I just never found him interesting. And at least if you want to compare him to Rusev on the Raw side of things, Rusev is in a lane where he's become interesting. Can Black get to that lane? Do you share the same sentiment? What's your thoughts on Black? I've never really got an opinion from you on that. Curious.
I think with Black, especially with his return, he needed a story that was a solid direction, like Rossi said. And the thing is, like the whole wishy-washiness, it's really tough to get someone like that over with the week-to-week audience because you're not sure if you're supposed to cheer or boo for them. Like, obviously, his return was going to get a pop, but then where do you go from there? And it doesn't help that, and Damian Priest, I think, is incredible, but he is pretty cold right now. And it's no fault of his own. It's just the stories that he's been involved with just haven't really been hitting the right way. I think his McIntyre feud was fun. But the thing is, the fans didn't get a chance to get the ball rolling because they wanted Drew at a higher position. And Drew should be at a higher position, but they didn't give Priest the necessary momentum. And when you have two guys who are kind of cold and now you're going to throw them in a feud, now the fans are just kind of uninterested to see what happens, no matter who wins or who loses. So now it's trying to make the audience care. Like, you should care that Damian Priest got screwed out of this victory. You should care that Aleister Black is like doing all this, like a backstage attacks to Damian Priest. But the thing is, you got to know them more as characters and as people. And the thing is, like, we're not seeing that Aleister Black from like the NXT or like Raw when he was called up to the main roster in the first place, where it's like he's actually like doing some head games. I'm not saying like he should go back and do a dark corridor for like 8 weeks and say, fight me and knock on my door, you know, but it's like,
they're kind of rule though.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's like, you're trying to build both guys at the same time, but the fact is someone has to win the feud and someone has to lose the feud.
That was my whole thing. I don't really think what I love about this the most is making Damian Priest be a proxy to get over Aleister Black. I prefer Damian Priest. But
I mean, if you think about it, it was originally Black and Truth was a proxy to get Black on television, and now Damian Priest is now a proxy for Black to be in a continuous story. So, like Black is, I think he will get over. It's just like you got to put him in the right situations, and I'm not sure if Damian Priest and Truth was the right decision.
I just don't think he has much flexibility as a character.
You needed like the opposite end of the spectrum. Like, I thought Miz was a good choice, like for the first couple of weeks,
because Miz is extremely flexible and he makes anything and everything work.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But right now, it's like we haven't been able to see the different sides of Aleister Black because of the opponents they chose.
I feel like the Rusev Sheamus story would have worked just as good with these two if they just had matches, right? It wasn't like, the altercation 3 weeks off. Like, that's what it's felt like. It might not be that much of a gap, but where Rusev and Sheamus worked is they would cut promos that were like pre-tapes, but it was mostly just them beating the shit out of each other. And I feel like that's where these two guys would have benefited from it instead of like, and I get with Black, there's like the element of the mind game, but you can get to that as that goes on. You have to establish him as like an in-ring performer, because I think if you just let him go wrestle, like you kind of just let Rusev go wrestle, he's going to get more over than putting him in these like jerk off moments with R-Truth. Like, it hasn't done Black right. And I'm surprised because I know he's a Heyman guy, right? Like, he was somebody Heyman almost picked over Drew back in 2020, right? But ultimately, it was like, that there's people there that want to see this guy succeed, or they would have never brought him back. Mm-hmm. So they just have to put him in the spots that are going to work for him. And I don't feel like they have. And yeah, you got to put some of that on him too. But I just feel like there's a much better way that they presented him. How long has he been back now? Fucking 4 months?
Yeah, since like April.
Yeah, and it's probably 4 or 5. And I just feel like there's a lot.
6. Oh, right.
A lot they could have. That was right after Mania, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot more that they could have done with this guy to kind of make those first 6 months build up, kind of like they did with Rusev. Like, I think Rusev is in a perfect spot. They kept him off of pay-per-views and Then when they finally did, it was a banger. I just feel like they kind of botched it along the way.
Yeah, he's just one match away from one really good match like Rusev had to like establish himself a little further. But the main feuds he's been in, it's characters that are kind of like not just wishy-washy, but they're kind of directionless. Like Truth, we weren't sure what kind of character was going to be from Truth, but it seems like he's just in that position where he's just going to be like, oh, cool. And now he's getting a WWE Unreal episode about him. So who knows what's going to happen with that discussion comes up. And then you have Priest, like I said, he's kind of cold right now. And you're tasked with trying to like heat both these guys up. But fact is, someone's got to win, someone's got to lose.
With Black, I think that the coolest factor about him is not everyone's going to connect with that character or that look, right? Some will, some don't. Most don't, in my opinion. I think everyone could connect with this finisher, the Black Mass. I would just start doing that backstage. I would just start doing that to Truth, start doing that to whoever, do that in his match early, do it and have him face fucking Elton Prince or whoever. Black Mass, it's over. Just start getting the Black Mass over. It gives them something to connect with the fans, gives them some cool factor, it gives them a threat. I don't get it. There's a lot there, but there's really nothing there with him.
There's a lot of noise, but it's not focused.
Yeah, exactly. So that's his strongest attribute. I'd just start rocking that.
Really quick, because this just kind of popped in my head. Do you think that the existence of Aleister Black helped guide them to not renewing a guy like Cross, who is pretty similar in presentation?
The
thing is with all that, it's if somebody gets signed, somebody's going to get let go. That's kind of like how it's going to be. And Cross and Aleister do have similar styles, I think, when it comes to presentation or how they want to be presented.
Similar vibe.
Yeah, similar vibe.
Either, right? The money, similar vibe is good comparison. But
you got to pay for two people with Cross, yeah.
Zelina's there, but they're not like Zelina's useful. Scarlett is with there.
I think with Aleister, it's like that you could put him in more flexible scenarios.
Much better wrestler, yeah.
Yeah, well, not only
Cross
much
is
better.
more of a better character.
Right. I think so. Yeah. More established, yeah.
Like I think Cross has like a better like sense of humor about him. So like he could be more versatile in a character sense, but with like you're saying in a wrestler sense, Aleister's probably more flexible in terms of like not only presentation but feuds as well. So it will be believable if he wins or loses, as opposed to Cross. If he keeps losing, then that size isn't going to mean that much.
Yeah, it just kind of hit me that kind of correlate in a way.
Wow, the Chargers are going to beat Kansas City.
Yeah, big run by Herbert on third down, yeah.
Yep. Herbert the pervert. All right, let's clean up some things backstage here. Mello Don't Miz interaction here. Becky Lynch rolls up. We talked a little bit about Mello Don't Miz earlier. Sooner rather than later, do they sniff the tag team titles? Do they sniff a challenge? Do they win it and eventually that will break them up? Does it bring them together? I think they're doing a good job of kind of muddying up whatever they want to do, because I can see them going in any scenario. And like I just said, Miz is the ultimate flexibility kind of guy. And I like what he's done for Mello, because on paper, like, it's kind of stupid. But a guy like my buddy Snelly, if I'm probably wrong, who's not as in the weeds, he's like, I love that right away. Like, that's a great pairing. And I'm like, I'm willing to give it a chance, but I've given it a chance. And I think it's pretty good. So what do you guys think of Mello Don't Miz real quick? I don't think it's worth a lot of our time, but, it was a part of the show and we can pass through it. What do you guys think?
What they're doing that's really smart is continuing what Mello wants, and he wants a United States Championship match. And every time he asks for one...
Yeah. Does he want gold, and will he accept the title?
Yeah, so it's like then Miz keeps interrupting, saying they want the tag titles. And the Miz is like that stage mom who's like being attached to their like prodigy of a child, and it you could easily hate Miz because he's blocking this opportunity from Mello, but at the same time it's like Mello, he's kind of like still like a rookie, like in WWE storyline terms, so he's just kind of going along with it. And then when it makes that turn of Mello decking Miz, then it's going to be all be worth it. And I think there's a scenario, depending on how long it lasts, that it's like, it could be like the pseudo Daniel Bryan, Alex Riley kind of thing, where it's like,
to my face.
Yeah, like Mello.
Great song.
great song, Wasted. But
Yep.
like Mello Dex Miz, and then Miz, like, he could like call up like Trick Williams, and then Trick's like his new like prodigy or something like that.
Yeah, I can see that as a lane. Like they I don't think they could be like baby faces right away, especially how they kind of like blew off. But
Mhm.
they're peanut butter and jelly, man. I think that's a great lane for Trick to kind of debut on WWE. That's a good call, Loki Richie.
But yeah, like with Mellow Miz, it's like, do I see it happening, like the tag title match happening anytime soon? Honestly, probably closer to Crown Jewel than anything. I don't see WrestlePalooza being the deciding factor.
Yeah.
But it's
at this point, I feel like the Wyatts are going to keep the titles at least through Halloween.
Yeah, so
Speaking
it's like gotta advertise the Halloween show.
Really quick,
Go ahead.
really quick. I'm going to do a Ryan gimmick and give you guys a trivia question.
Let's go.
Right.
How many people has Miz held the tag title with?
Hold on. Hold on. Let me see.
Morrison, R-Truth, there's Shane McMahon, there is
Sandow.
So there's 4. I'm just
Cena.
gonna say 7.
Cena.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 7.
Richie?
Yeah, I'm gonna go.
The Big Show. Show Miz.
I'll go 6.
Yeah, it is 6. So you named them all, Ryan.
Okay.
So yeah, Morrison, Show, Cena, Sandow, Truth, and Shane McMahon.
I tried to Google because like I always heard the like differing opinions on this. Like the Miz and Cena tag title win was a mistake or something, but I couldn't find anything proving that it was.
Oh, like they weren't scripted to win? Mistake?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that'd be a good video. If you have to report back on us. That one.
Yeah.
All right, you guys mentioned that we're going to get Randy Orton versus Drew next week. Schmaz, the lead to something. Perhaps we'll see. I don't think it's worth a lot of our time. We touched on it a little bit earlier, but who would you rather buy stock on the rest of 2025? Drew McIntyre or Randy Orton?
Drew.
Yeah, you go. Drew.
we know he's going to be feuding with Cody at some point. I don't know what Orton's going to really be doing after this feud.
So what I think, it's like we're going to get Cody Drew, and that'll take us to probably a Crown Jewel. And then we'll go to Survivor Series. Because I feel like Cody going to Mania, it's going to be Drew then Randy, theoretically. And then we'll get like Cody Punk as the Mania match, where it's like, I think that's the direction they're going. So I think I think next week we get like the Randy write-off, where it's like, the same like Claymore like to the announce table deal that they did with Cody, but to Randy.
Fucking with these write-offs, I hate them. I don't hate them, but they're just so
especially them when they're like kind of like bullshit ones,
Yeah.
But with Randy, he always like he doesn't get written off too often, but he will take breaks.
Yeah. It's just the trope that's just kind of blah. All right, and then next week we have Brock Lesnar live again. Drew and Randy in the women's championship match. Tiffany Stratton, Jade Cargill. We got Jade Cargill backstage with Nia Jax tonight, and then we got Tiffany Stratton looking
Roll Tide,
looking all the way live in that black skirt, top, whatever. But anyways, it was working for her, Richie. I don't need to make you uncomfortable, but
I gotta tell you, and I might. Kathy Kelly to me is like one of the hottest women around, right? And next to Stratton today, she looked like plain Jane. And for me to say that about Kathy Kelly, then that's telling me how good Stratton looked.
Yeah. Well, Richie, once you hit around 40, you stop caring and you just say whatever you want.
I kept it okay.
No, yeah, it was fine.
But anyways, the match, Cargill versus Stratton. I thought it was an interesting where Nia and Jade were kind of like, well, she beat you. Well, she beat you too. Is that kind of just like making the match low key? And then perhaps we get a moment with like an angle, an alliance, whatever, and Stratton gets screwed or whatever? Or is that just kind of just put a little more flair on the Stratton name?
They've been really teasing like Tiffany Stratton's been undefeated this entire year. So it's like, I do feel like a Jade win wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. I think it's actually more likely to happen.
Do you think it would come with a character change, or do you think it's just like straight?
I think it comes with a heel turn.
Yeah.
because I think that's the only way to like kind of like heat up the SmackDown women's roster. Like you have the talent there, it's just like everyone just isn't like in a direction.
Is it so under the radar that it's kind of a possibility? Personally, I don't want it. I like Tiffany as champion compared to Jade as champion.
Basically, what the SmackDown Women's division to the Raw division, it's like what the SmackDown Tag Team division is to the Raw Tag Team
Yeah,
division.
good call.
I just think like Jade needs it, and I think her work will be a lot better as a heel. I think going back to what we were talking about around SummerSlam, like I feel like she started doing a lot more of these like power moves that she would use more so as a heel than like working underneath like she would have to as a babyface. And it could be something like, Nia helps her win, but like indirectly, and she doesn't realize it, and that like kind of taints her win, but then eventually she ends up turning on Tiff too. I could see something like that, but I kind of just hope that she just turns heel and kind of cheats to win and kind of goes from there, because may I not want her to be a champ? I don't know if she'd be my top choice, but I also know that it's kind of what we were saying earlier. It's shit to get off the pot with her too. And I think if they're going to ever get their return back on the dollar there, which I think she's been fine, but if they really are going to get her to the next level, it's going to be as a heel, especially when we got a Charlotte Flair that's kind of slowly getting heated up as a babyface.
The thing to pay attention to is like they keep mentioning like Tiffany's foot being under the rope or like using the rope to win at SummerSlam. So don't be surprised if the match ends with Jade doing something similar, and then the heat will come and it's like, oh, I'm not giving you a rematch or anything like that. So it's like that's how you have the slow kind of burn heel turn with Jade.
You started to talk me into it, Richie, that it's going to happen.
Yeah, so it's like that's also a video I probably need to do. So we'll see.
Well, there you go. And then Crazy Shark, you got to make her a champion at some point, honestly. You don't have to, but there's an investment in her, and now she's coming up on about 2 years.
I thought it was I thought it was a real strange move making her a babyface at first, because she's only learned the one style, and that's being a heel and short matches. It's like I thought like hindsight being 2020 for more longevity. I think WWE did the right decision by pairing her off with Bianca first and putting her in a tag situation, especially in a babyface tags, to work on her hot tags and just like babyface persona. But I think it's time to turn her heel just to like get a little bit of a refresh before people get like go away heat.
Yeah, I think her heel run's gonna have a lot more equity and mean a lot more now, because the crowd has known her for a couple years now as a babyface. So ultimately it gives them more reason to boo, because a lot of segments of the crowd does like her. So I think it's going to work. And we all know from her work in AEW, like way better heel than baby. So, and I like I said, I just think Tiffany too will be grown from this, because then she'll be even more over as a baby, which she's gotten better at it over the years. She's still not kind of in her top form as a babyface, but being with a heel to the level of Jade when she's on, I think it'll work.
I'm just curious about the quality. I'm not really interested in the finish, just because I'm a little indifferent to it, but I prefer Tiffany to retain. But I'm curious if they can go out there and have a better match that they had at SummerSlam, because in SummerSlam they had a very hyper-focused, straight-ahead, direct line match that was set up for success within that structure of straight-ahead, big moves, a lot of sequence, bang, bang, bing, rapid fire. Do they try to go with that formula again, or do they try to like evolve it into something bigger? Because Stratton's had a lot of good matches as champion in big title matches, but that's against like Nia and underneath stuff. But Nia's a little bit more compelling on top than Jade. Pause, I don't understand, but you get what I'm saying, right? Like on top on offense and being more menacing. Jade kind of struggles in that slow burn.
Nia Jax is the perfect TV wrestler for the women, at least for David versus Goliath kind of deal. Like, look at all the matches she's had with Tiffany, the last woman standing, the street fight.
Great ones, man.
Yeah, and it's like even like the TV, like I think she had a good like TV match with Bailey, with Naomi. Yes. So it's like you can only go back to the Nia one too many times with Tiffany. Like, there's not much for Tiffany to do now. Like the only person I can think of is Julia, but it's like it seems like Julia and Kiana, they're starting to heat them up a little bit. So like I think Jade's probably the right call.
Kiana has been heated up, but we're not going to go to that lane yet, right? So All right.
She looks unbelievable. She looks unbelievable.
It's almost after dark here. You want to do a SmackDown post show? This is what we're getting here, guys. All right. It's been a long work week, and your boy is riled up. But
where's Lash Legend?
Trick 100 or rat. All right. Julia versus Michin, 8 minutes. Good match. Keanu James getting her heat back at the end. I just didn't feel like it did as much as it should have for Julia the win, and I felt that perhaps Michin was this. I just want to say this match was kind of lost in a big shuffle of SmackDown. But on paper, it added to tonight. It maybe just didn't live up to it. The placement was a little weird. I don't know. Like on paper, it made SmackDown look bigger and more sexier, but it just felt like it didn't live up to a big SmackDown. And again, this would probably have been better on a smaller show. It would have probably got more juice out of the squeeze. What do you guys think of this match? Rossi, we can start with you. What did you think? You're probably the bigger Julia fan.
I think that it was good placement because where they put it, like I don't think people were going to be changing it. So I think it was a good opportunity for people. It was right around halftime, or like right at the tail end of the first half of the football game. So I liked the placement of it because it puts eyes, on this. There was more people that watched this show than probably have watched SmackDown in a while. That's my guess. And I think putting Julia on this is going to help her. And, people that don't know Kiana James definitely do now. And I ultimately think that there's got to be a real feud at some point. Michin is kind of like that ultimate, stat patter as an opponent, right? Who that would be, I don't know on this roster. We've kind of already done Zelina too. But ultimately, Julia's just got to win matches, and she'll get herself over that way.
Yeah. What do you think of Julia? Do you think the Kiana James pairing is kind of helping her so far, Richie? Get her foot off the ground. What do you think?
I think it's a good position for Kiana to be in, but it seems like
I think she's stealing shine, personally.
That's what I was about to bring up because, with Julia, they're going to be like, oh, she'll be the wrestler of the group, and Kiana's going to be the personality. But we all know what happens in WWE when you're more personality-based than wrestler-based sometimes. And I feel like this is a way to more so get Kiana over than Julia over when it should be doing the opposite intention.
Right.
Even if you see, at the end of the matchup, like you said, Ryan, Kiana got her heat back. So then the attention was on Kiana. It wasn't like Kiana directing traffic where Julia would attack Michin again. It was more Kiana just getting her leg back. And this focus was on her instead of the Women's United States Champion.
I'm thinking unless so Kiana obviously is the one that if she was more established in this role, then it would help Julia more. But she's kind of getting established as what she is at the same time as Julia is. But you always have in your back pocket that Julia could get sick of her bullshit, and then that could be how she turns babyface. So there's a couple different compelling ways they could go with it. But you're right. I think that it has elevated Kiana James so far more than it has Julia.
Last question here. Do you think Julia and Tiffany Stratton shop at the same store for those tops? Yes or no? We can move on.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, we're all here for. First, before we get into it, I don't know if I love Seth Rollins hiding fully behind his wife. Now, I understand why he's doing it, right? But I just don't feel that it plays into his strengths. And I get that he's a whiny heel and he's the visionary. He's the revolutionary. He's Seth freaking Rollins. I get it. But I feel that he wants to prove it to his wife that they can do it on screen together because they failed as baby faces back in 2019. They just did. They fell flat on their face. But this is a different landscape. There are more, Jesus Christ, AJ Styles, CM Punk, or AJ Lee, CM Punk. Hello, yeah, that's much more appealing than Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans. But I feel that Seth is making it to a point to put his wife over. And I understand that Becky wanted to be at the front of this to introduce AJ Lee. So I'm certain of all of this stuff. But I just feel that all that being said, of being around the surroundings, I just feel that Seth Rollins just feels like less. He feels like the fourth leg. I think he's always been a little vulnerable as a top guy, as the top guy. That's always been my kickback to him. I don't know. I just feel that I don't really love this presentation for him. Is it me? Am I a hater on Rollins? I do respect him. I think he's incredible talent, and I don't mind his verbal, but his presentation here is just, I don't know. Am I off? Do you guys get the vibe I'm trying to say to kind of rip off the Band-Aid with it, right?
Yeah. You and I, we talked about this, Ryan, like on and off. You when it concerns Seth Rollins, like Seth Rollins is the perfect like 1B guy. You know what I mean? Where it's like he's gonna be in that Triple H spot, he's gonna be in that Edge spot, he's gonna be in that Ric Flair spot, he's gonna be in that Charlotte Flair spot where he's better as the antagonist, yes, but not the antagonist that's the central focus of the show. And I feel like with Seth, it's like a lot of when he was at top, and sometimes it might be like his fault, but other times it's the writing mostly. He's just very uninteresting when he's in a position of power.
Yeah,
like he is more interesting when he is the antagonist that's trying to get at you personally. Like when he's champion, like he's much better chasing the title as a babyface and a heel as opposed to being a champion. I think like his first world title run was fine. The problem was they kept throwing people at him that people wanted to see as world champion more than him.
I like this 2015 run.
Yeah, his 2015 run I thought was fine. I thought his the inaugural world title run was a little bit better. Just because from a babyface standpoint, like it was something that a lot of people wanted to see again after a long layoff of him being champion. But the show still wasn't based around him. It was more around Cody and it was around Jay. And then it was Seth. Like he was like the second or third most important guy in the brand. And I feel like with Seth, I feel like he does work better individually. I think when he's in a faction, there are more people who are gaining more of the attention. Like I think Braun and Bronson have been getting more of the rub from the Paul Heyman pairing than he has.
I think Paul Heyman's the star of it, honestly.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like with Seth, he's very subdued, which is very strange to see. Like usually, like you see him with the colorful outfits and stuff, but like promo wise, personality wise, he's like very like
facial
not him.
wise, he's very deadpan.
Lately. Yeah, like he's not him, you know? It's just like it's not it just doesn't click with me personally.
I think there's two problems that there is with Seth Rollins right now. First is the obvious one. Every Raw episode for the last like 3 months has been the same fucking thing, right? He opens with a promo. They either get ran off by a baby face that finally gets a little bit of shine like a Punk, or they stand tall, right? That's hurt. But what's hurt the aura of this Seth Rollins heel run, he's got to get rid of that fucking theme song, all right?
Yeah, but
because he's not gonna. And I understand why they keep it for the crowd reaction, but he can't be your top heel when you're in Chicago and he's about to call out Chicago's favorite son, and then the whole crowd singing the theme. Like it just doesn't work for me. And that's where it's kind of like, you know, they've changed themes when people have been heel. I think honestly it's helped Becky too, because her new theme is great for one, but two, it's not what people are used to and like the sing along to it or, you know, the whatever they fucking did with the old song. But they needed Becky to heel in this crowd tonight. And she was fucking great at it, right? She's been really good at, you know, the heel character the last month or so. I think that she's really turned it on and kind of got all of her footing back. But calling out the sports, didn't call it the Bears because her husband's a Bears fan, which I
was waiting for it, but she did not.
And they were wearing Bears colors too. But that's the thing is, if you're gonna have a full blown heel, you can't have the full blown heel coming out doing a sing along. And then that hurts the overall presentation. And even like Braun, like nobody dislikes Braun Breaker, right? So
it really does feel like evolution in a way, where it's like the guy who's fronting the group is the least interesting member. And like I know people will say like, oh, it's the Seth Riders, it's this, it's that, like, with that. But it's like a group is only as strong as like the leader of it. Like with the bloodline, like Roman was the center of everything. Death Rider, for better for worse, Moxley was in the center of everything. With Seth Rollins, and I think he was hurt when he was hurt and he was on television. But people are so much more interested in finding out more about Braun and Bronson just because they're still finding their ground and footing. That's more exciting following what they're doing than Seth, because Seth, he's done it all at this point.
And like, also, why wouldn't Braun and Braun be in Chicago with him?
Well, they just did their own thing, right?
Yeah, it's just weird that like.
Well, are they with Heyman? Not with Seth?
They're at Heyman's hospital bed. Is that what we're led to believe?
Because is it a Heyman thing or is it a
Seth?
Like, are they with Heyman?
And also, it's like it kind of like plant seeds in the future. Like even if like Seth had a throwaway line where it's like he's like, "Oh, my boys, they're taking care of the Oracle right now." Like even just like saying something like that, I think would have been helpful. But like if you play
into the dynamic of Becky and Paul once they return too, like there could be like a splinter there as well. So it could be purposeful. I'm pretty sure it's purposeful. You will say. I do want to say one thing about the music though, Mike. Becky Lynch can change her music because she can come to the ring and instead of singing along, you're going to be focused on her. If you weren't singing along with Seth, are you going to be focused on him? Probably not.
No, I think you'd just be booing him more. Like, he would come off like a bigger heel. I think that's my only thing with it. Like I think about Shinsuke, and they had to change his. Like trying to think of other scenarios where they've had to change. Bailey
became extremely uninteresting as soon as they did.
Well, yeah, but I don't feel like Seth speaks English, so I feel like he'd at least be able to heel in the crowd. I don't know. I just think it's kind of strange to me when you're standing in the crowd. He looked like a babyface when he came out until he started talking. That's the only thing that I don't like about it.
Yeah, the thing is, it's like when coming from the crowd, like just cutting a promo from the crowd and being up there, it's kind of like more of a babyface move. Like we've seen Jay do it. We've seen like the Shield guys do it when they were baby faces. But with Seth, it's more of, again, I keep going back to like the Evolution comparison because I think that's the most apropos one, where it's like remember where it's like oh, you could like see like the opening of Raw in 2003 or 2004 like to a T, where it's like Triple H opens a promo, 20-minute promo, the game, and then it's like, but Seth's version, like Seth's version of that is he does like the laugh, the I am a visionary, I'm a revolutionary, I am Seth freaking Rollins. The only difference is the crowd is participating because now like WWE's in a way where they've had repetition so much that like you're now a part of the show. And even though people are cheering for Seth Rollins and his music, like that's pretty much where it starts and stops. And like Rossi said, when every ending of Raw for the past couple of months had like the same format with just the Vision standing tall, and they finally got a name too, where it's just like we could have named him a little bit sooner with everything. But again, with Seth Rollins, it's just like it's like I do like him as a wrestler. It's just character wise, it's like he's not really evolving, and all the other people around him are.
Ultimately, he was there to introduce his wife, right? And it worked. Crazy. Hold on, let me go to.
Yeah, I mean, him being there made a lot more sense than if he wasn't, which for the bulk of the night, you kind of thought he wasn't going to be.
Crazy Shark, why is he standing in the crowd as a heel? Because he needs to be away from CM Punk, so get it. So AJ, so he can introduce AJ. It just it worked tonight, but I don't love how it's a pattern now that he's continuously hiding behind his wife, being behind his wife, and his wife is just stealing all of the star power. And it's just a better wrestling character than Seth Rollins. Not in-ring ability, not champion, whatever. She is just beyond a better character.
She's been the main honestly, like she's felt like the biggest star in Raw for the last 3 to 4
I think
weeks.
this has been her like best run as a champion, just because like the variety. Like I'm not saying match quality wise, I'm just saying like the investment in the feuds of trying to like make people a little bit more than they were coming in.
Yeah, she refreshed those batteries. She's charged up, ready to go, and she's all in. They've given her the ball. behind the screen, on the screen, and she's running with it, man. I don't get the hate. If there's any hate, you're just hating. I think she's.
I've never ever understood the hate. I understand that, big time Bex got a little bit tired, but then she stepped away and she's back. And honestly, if you're shitting on the heel work that she's doing right now, then you're not ever going to say anything good about her, and that's just sad because she's somebody that we're going to be talking about fondly for the rest of our time as wrestling fans.
Her look when AJ came out, and now I'm fast forwarding a little bit. It kind of reminded me of like the SmackDown promo when Mankind transformed into Cactus Jack, and like Triple H's like face just kind of dropped. Now Becky's was a little bit more over the top than Triple H's, but like the same like look of shock and fear. Like Becky is really good at selling for her opponents, like at least like facially.
Yeah.
And I think that's another underrated part of her game. Like even though people are tired of her as champion, they're not really tired of her performance because it's like she pretty much does the right thing when it comes to making her opponents look good.
Right. She made Lyra, who at the Rumble as a champion, nobody gave a shit less about, to everybody loving her by SummerSlam. And yeah, they haven't done anything with her since, but they had a very compelling stretch, and I put a majority of that on Becky.
Yeah, she helped get Lyra's character in hyper-focus mode, and when needed, there's more depth to Lyra. Dude,
Lyra's somebody they should go send to Julia, actually.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Eventually, like maybe like not right away, but a couple months from now.
It's gonna be tough because now Lyra's in this story with Bailey, and
which I don't even know what that is, but that's a story for another day.
Yeah.
Voices in your head, transition out of that shit. But anyways, Punk again feeling like the third biggest star in this, and you could tell on the face when his wife eventually comes out, as we're about to talk about, the joy that he had for her. Like, I'm sure as a couple, it'd be like he's hyping her up, and it's like, hey, AJ's maybe had a little self-doubt. Am I as big as a star as the girls that came after me? Am I the biggest star the girls before me? Trish, Lita, and even Nikki Bella, the girl around me. Like, am I on that level? Am I more of like Paige, or I'm not really a star? AJ Lee's a star. And the acceptance and the yearning for her. And they pretty much told you, and the crowd was all in. The crowd was fiending for her. The online support. I didn't see any online backlash about AJ Lee returning. Only maybe a little trepidation that she might, but they're going this far deep in the weeds. They're not going to pull the rug out on it, right? So I was pretty certain that she was coming. And I thought the setup was simple. And I thought the setup was excellent. It was well done. Becky did the heavy lifting. Punk added to it as a husband, not as CM Punk, the character, right? I thought that the stuff on Raw was awesome. And I saw some stuff where, like, if a woman ever put her hands like me, I was like, bro, you ain't hitting a woman. No one should hit a woman. Like, I saw some people saying that. I would just roll my eyes.
All right, says the guy with a cartoon emoji as his picture.
Yeah, I saw one that says, my hands are rated E for everybody. I'm like, okay.
All right, well, we should probably call the authorities on you then, pal.
That was an interesting one, right? I was like, ooh,
gosh,
I might want to report that one, but but yeah, I just don't see any backlash. I see what an underlining low-key love affair for AJ Lee, and she played into it. She was AJ Lee the character. She was AJ Lee from 2012, the GM, the crazy, the psycho, the one with Daniel Bryan, the one that fell in love with CM Punk, the one with flirted with Kane, just the mind games, the everything. And did you guys hear the section from Becky's book where she met AJ Lee, and you guys are familiar with the story where she was like, her hands were clammy and she was nervous to meet the big star AJ Lee, and AJ Lee gave her like a one-word hello, and like just Becky felt so belittled by AJ Lee too, and purposeful or not by AJ Lee, but they're definitely going to play into that too, right? This is going to feed generations, right? So on and so forth. But Richie, we can start with you. It was simple. It was a low-key bit corny, I'm even going to say. but it worked. It was phenomenal. The crowd was yearning for it. They had the crowd in the palm of their hands. It was simple. It was easy, and it was executed great, despite the corniness. Am I overreacting on the corniness, or what did you think of that whole closing segment?
No, I thought the closing segment was really well done. I thought the build-up was well done. I think people would probably complain about Punk saying AJ's name before she came out.
Mhm.
But again, I think it just kind of added to it to maybe like, it's like, oh, maybe AJ's not the surprise, you know? And I think that kind of worked out well. And it's like Rhea got a pop when Punk mentioned her. So I'm just so I was like, yeah, the crowd might have popped for Rhea if Rhea was in that situation. But no, it was like, I thought it was really well done. I do like how the story is like Seth, he got burned by Punk when he was young, and now Becky got burned by AJ when she was young or coming up in WWE. So it's a good story to play into or lean into. I'm very interested to see if they give AJ any promo time. I feel like we're going to get at least one Raw where like the heels are going to stand tall, because that's what Raw is nowadays. But other than that, I thought the segment was really well done. Punk played his part well. Becky played her part tremendously. Seth, he was there. He didn't.
It's purposeful, right?
Yeah. Like he was there to to show the battle lines for WrestlePalooza, and and I think it's a smart match to have. And I feel like with this match, it's a clear-cut way for Punk to get a win over Rollins without winning the championship, and then getting a title match out of there from there. The only thing, it's like, I'm curious to see, it's like, because AJ's finish is the Black Widow, which is a submission move. You know, you can't hit it like there quickly. So it was just a bunch of like Thez presses and takedowns and stuff like that. So just enough to like get the people intrigued to see if AJ is going to act to this new era of women's wrestling.
Yeah, I thought AJ looked pretty good. She looked smooth. She looked ripped. Abs were bursting out of her crop top, right? The gear looked good. She hasn't been in the WWE for 10 years. She's 10 years older now, right? So she didn't look it. I thought she looked phenomenal, Mike.
I did too. And like, there's always been the Roxanne Perez comparisons, and like I really saw it when AJ was standing in the ring today, just like their size, right? But my only critique is I don't like how Punk mentioned her name when the crowd was chanting it. Because then he mentioned her, and then he was just like brushed it off, and then he started talking about however he can get everybody else, and then boom, here she comes, right? And I know that they were chanting the name, but I just feel like he shouldn't have name dropped her at that point and just saved it for the pop, right? And I liked how he talked about Rhea, and he talked about Bayley, and he talked about his sister. I think that made it all really well played out, and got that anticipation building in that building. That Chicago crowd has gotten a lot of cool shit with the last few years between Punk alone.
The and Cody thing, right?
Yeah,
in the rain, yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's cool that they got this too, and the crowd delivered. I liked how AJ got the full entrance too. She did the full skip around the ring. You could tell that she
sunk it in. It sunk in.
Yeah, and like Punk, like the proud husband standing there. I think that's obviously why Rollins was in the crowd, so he could have that moment. And it worked for me. I know that I'm already thinking about the different stuff that AJ can do on this run. I don't expect like a super long one, but still, she's a star, man. They're going to move a lot of merch. I saw one of the bootleg sites was selling AJ Lee shirts at like 6 p.m. tonight. Like, that was fucking smart. I think there's a lot of money to be made off of this return, and they can do Cole branded like Punk and AJ shirts, and like, yeah, I could even see like the marquee for this, like doing one of these event shirts with these four on it. That'll move a ton. I just think it's a big time move for them. And what I found the most interesting is you have such a polarizing figure in the internet world right now, like a Brock Lesnar. I'll tell you what, the people that were bitching about Brock a few weeks ago, they were still watching this show waiting for AJ. So I think it was a really smart layout, and the timing worked for them with Chicago and Indianapolis. It just was a perfect storm. And, AJ's a star, man. I think she's right there with the rest of them at the top of that roster now. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, if there was any self-doubt, it's gone. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I'm pumped for her. I think she's gonna do fine regardless, but I'm curious. I don't think the pop or the star power will dissipate because the presentation of her return was so big and magnetic. I wonder if she will. All right, here's the thing. Do you think that we're going to get a mixed tag before we get the singles matches? I believe so. And do you think we'll get it at Palooza?
Yeah, I think the tag will be at Palooza, and then either, which is kind of my lean, either AJ beats Becky and gets a title match somewhere down the line. Maybe they save that for Survivor Series, so it's in a big crowd. Or, probably more likely to Richie's point, Punk finally gets a W, but I feel like it'll benefit them more from a story perspective and a Becky perspective if AJ got the dub and they went that route.
Yeah, you agree with the mixed tag, and what do you think? The winners, championships changing here? How long these guys are going to be linked together, Richie? What do you think?
I think the story's gotta be like till WrestlePalooza is my guess, and the reason why is
This chapter or the whole story of Pumpkins?
just the chapter of the Punk and
Okay.
like Raw, like the AJ arc, I'll call it, because I feel like you still want to keep AJ semi special right now. Like you don't want her to be a totally big recurring character after WrestlePalooza because you want to make her next story seem more of a surprise. And I think people are anticipating the Roxanne Perez story. So it's like, what do you do with that? Maybe like you get AJ and Caitlyn. I know they were like the Chick Busters or something later down the line. But again, that's just
I'd like to see a good way to bring Paige back. That's a good idea.
That's a good way to bring Paige back.
Yeah, so it's like you got a couple options. You got a couple options for AJ's next story. And I do think a tag story would probably be the best one for both her and Paige if that is the direction they choose to go with, just because both of them have had neck injuries in the past. And it'd be a good way just to kind of protect both of them. Just for
when you bring that up, too, it's a cute way to be like, AJ really did start the revolution in a way with the tweet, and then Becky, and then Stephanie jumped on it, right? And the Paige, and Paige and her bringing in a different style to the women division. And then Becky Lynch is honestly the one that capitalized to the revolution and made herself the biggest coming out of it, right? So there's definitely another layer of symmetry to kind of go there too as well, right? So there's a lot of layers here too. They can go in as deep as they want. I'd kind of close the year with it, but I don't know if they take those chapters in spades and like layer them deeper, right? I don't know if they want to burn that all at once. So I don't know. Becky's having a good job of laying stuff out for herself to stay relevant and interested. So it probably has a lot to do with that too.
Like honestly, you could just like end the AJ arc at WrestlePalooza. You don't need to see her again till Rumble, and then that's when you kick off her WrestleMania program.
What's funny is you say that, and I was just thinking about how much different of all people she would look in the fucking Saudi garb.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot I was in Saudi this year.
But I mean, that's ultimately like if you're gonna do something with her and Roxanne, like that's the best time to kick that off is something at the Rumble,
Yeah, interesting. Overall, again, it's not many times that we do post shows for Raw or SmackDown, and tonight warranted it. Well, I think I texted you guys around 5 o'clock when I was heading to practice. Like 3 o'clock when I was heading to practice. It'd be like, guys, SmackDown looks pretty big. I'm tired, but you guys want to do something tonight? And I thought it was worth our time, going 90 minutes here. I thought it was a good SmackDown. Like Janu said earlier, the best one in a minute. And it lived up to the hype. Can they build off this momentum, you think, Richie?
I'm hoping they do. It definitely makes the ride a lot more easier going into WrestlePalooza. But WWE, when they have like a reaction, they got the reaction they want. They do have a tendency to coast a little bit because it's just like, hey, it's like we got the reaction. We already got you in the palm of our hands. We could just kind of coast a little bit. And because you're still going to be invested in the story, even if it's like we're going to have filler weeks, as I call it. And but with this being AJ's return, with this being AJ's return, like you only have about 2 weeks till Palooza.
2 weeks, yeah.
So yeah, it's
2
like
weeks from tomorrow.
So yeah, you're gonna have like the promo, and then you're gonna have the closing angle where it's like gonna be Punk and AJ probably being beaten up, or just like both teams brawling to end it. So again, it's like there's not much you need to do in the way of filler, which is a good thing. But
Just
yeah,
ramp up, gasoline on the fire. Let's get ready for Palooza.
yeah, it's like have Seth and Becky both stomp AJ and Punk, and then try to tease like the GTS on the Go Home show by both AJ and Punk. And yeah, you just kind of go on from there. It's like, again, it's really, when you have this kind of reaction and this kind of return, it's really, really hard to screw it up. Like they could fumble at the 1 yard line, but even still, people are going to give them a standing ovation because, oh, you almost made a touchdown.
Kind of like the Chiefs here tonight. All right, Rossi, worth the squeeze in the SmackDown tonight? What'd you think?
Yeah, I think so, and I think that they did a really good job of not only putting a big show together opposite a big NFL game, but they put two fairly big matches together for next week, right? And which is important because if you're not a normal SmackDown watcher, you might be expecting them on SmackDown next week, and they won't be, right? You got Brock coming back, you have Orton and Drew, you've got Tiff and Jade, and plus Raw, one more week before Raw goes to 7 p.m. So I feel like that will kind of be their annual, like almost like start of a new season type thing, right? And I feel like that's going to come more so maybe out of WrestlePalooza. But the eras are always changing in WWE. We just had the Netflix era kick off the beginning of the year, and now we've got the ESPN era right around the corner, which is massive, right? Like I've talked about that on my pod a little bit, but I feel like that how massive WWE being on ESPN is for the long-term visibility of the product is a lot bigger than I think people realize. And they're going to have to get
was big.
Yeah.
Can you only imagine what ESPN is going to be, right?
With like ESPN spending their money that they are, and they'll be using it in their everyday broadcasting for like previews and stuff. So I think it's going to be a big deal. And we're kind of feel like this is always the lull of the year in WWE, especially. But I don't think we're going to have that this year. It feels like they're going to make a point to the way that the shows are spread out. I mean, who knows? They could always add one in, though. There's this Saturday Night's Main Event in the beginning of November. So you really got, WrestlePalooza, Australia, one Saturday Night's Main Event, Survivor Series, and another Saturday Night's Main Event. So you still got 5 big shows, really. And I do think those Saturday Night's Main Events might even be booked out to be longer shows now because they don't have the constraints of the NBC now. So I think that we're going to have kind of like a mini boom period. As we are kind of seeing that tonight, this SmackDown reminded me of like that first SmackDown on Fox. Like it just felt like a big deal and the start of something new. And I hope they capitalize on that because I think the way SmackDown's gone, I actually was starting to enjoy the 3-hour SmackDowns because there was a lot of people getting fresh TV time, and they kind of struggled when they moved to 2 hours. So I'm excited that it seems to be like they're a little bit more pointed now. And NXT has been pretty much consistently my favorite weekly WWE show. But I think SmackDown has a lane now to crash that party, and Raw are on top of it too.
Yeah, no doubt. So guys, it was worth our time. We'll see if they juice it up enough to do this again for another post show for a Raw or SmackDown, but we'll be back for a post show next here on WrestlePalooza. So Richie, Rossi, thanks guys. And we'll talk to you soon for previews, probably starting next weekend. So guys, as always, thank you.
Thank you.
Later.